Welcome back, everybody, and this is going to be another wrapping up 2018, part of our finishing of the 2018. We did it last year of looking back at kind of the game year as a whole, but this one isn't going to be that video. We're going to do that video, but we're going to be talking about our favorite games that we've played in the year 2018. So who's going to be joining me?
And Travis.
Thank you guys all. Mike, you sound really enthusiastic.
I'm so excited for this.
But yeah, so these aren't going to be necessarily like games that had to come out in 2018. I think most of them are going to be games that came out in 2018, but they're going to be games that we've basically fell in love with this year, and we really want to talk about it more if we haven't talked about it a lot before. So who's going to start us off with some of their best games that they played in 2018? Doesn't have to be a game of 2018.
I'll start, I guess.
Okay,
I got a few. I'm just going to like rapid fire like 20 seconds for each one, because I was telling them before, like, I can't think of any that really stood out to me. I could list for you like 40 games I played, but for some reason, like, none of them stick out to me as like that was the one that I really liked, which is really odd. So I'm just going to name a few that I really enjoyed, and then, you know, we'll see at what point Nick yells at me to stop talking. Or that I've gone on for too long. The first one I want to give a shout out to is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. A lot of people didn't like it because of the like money issue. I love grinding in non-turn-based RPGs. In turn-based RPGs, I don't like grinding as much. It gets repetitive. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I like doing a lot of side quests. I like the naval missions. There was enough variety in the mission style that made me enjoy grinding, and so I never even felt slightly compelled to use money to boost my level. I can see why that would bother people, which is why I wouldn't say this is my game of the year, because it is kind of a slimy technique to say, I'm going to make you grind, or you can pay to move past it. Fortunately, like I said, it doesn't bother me, so I liked it. I love the Greek setting, so that was a no-brainer for me in a game that I enjoyed. Another one I enjoyed, it just came out yesterday. Not yesterday, 2 days ago. Katamari Damacy came out again for the Nintendo Switch. This is one of my like favorite games of all time, probably in my top 10. So I'm glad it came out again on the Switch. I've only played it a little bit because Smash Bros. Also came out, and Pokemon came out not too long ago, but I love Katamari Damacy. I've already put a couple hours into this game on the Switch, and I plan on doing so much more for it. So I think I'm more saying it because it just happened like yesterday that I picked it up, but it's like, it's giving me so much joy to be able to replay that game a second time. What else can I see on my shelf? Detroit Become Human. That's a good one. I'll probably talk about it a little more in the next video too, but I'll do most of it here. That game had such a passionate story. I love games where you have to make difficult choices. This game, like, absolutely nailed the coffin. I don't know if that's a good statement, but I mean that in a good way. There was so much detail, so many different paths you can take. There were important choices, and then there were choices that didn't matter that would just change, like, surface level things. But it was one of those games where at the end of the game, every main character can survive or every main character can die. My first playthrough, I got a really depressing ending, and it, like, ruined my day. And then I had to go online and look up better endings to make myself feel better. And that's the kind of game it is. And I really enjoy that, because then it made my second playthrough completely different. I did all the opposite choices, and sadly, doing the opposite actually got me a better ending. Shows how sucky I am at making decisions. But it's a cool game. It's a very mellow game in terms of gameplay. So if you suck at video games and just want a nice story, this is kind of a good one to play. I think I'll end it there, and I'll save my other ones for later. But those are like 3 games that I did really enjoy so far in 2018.
Neat.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was a bit of a clusterfuck, if you ask me.
Those are good games. Yes, Mike.
Well, as much as it's going to be crazy, I'm going to do something a little similar, not talk about as many games as that, or maybe I do. I don't know. But there's a couple of them that I actually really wanted to point out that I really enjoyed this year. One of them, Travis can definitely vouch for the fact that I was bugging him about it for a long time because I really wanted him to finish it, was I Am Setsuna. In terms of it being as a cohesive game altogether, there definitely are issues. I'm not saying otherwise. I personally really, really loved it. And there's one moment in there. There's a couple big moments in there, but there's one moment in there in particular that I won't spoil because they're in the very end of the game that I was like, damn, that really freaking hurt to watch. And it was Tokyo RPG's Factory. I think it was like one of their first really big experiments into the JRPG formula. And in terms of what people expect from a lot of JRPGs nowadays, it's not as good to go down as much as I love linear stories. If you want to make a game as your first attempt, I think it's good as a safe bet to go with a linear story, and I can understand why I Am Setsuna was like that. I think it was a little bit too linear at certain points because it doesn't give us any variety to really break up the story of just run, fight, and story, and cutscene and whatnot. But I still love the story otherwise, but I know that it will make other people frustrated while playing it. I wish there was like a little bit of diversity when it comes down to it, like having an extra area or extra dungeon to explore.
Yeah.
That was just me personally.
No.
But there's a moment in Ai Setsuna that I freaking loved. And I won't spoil it, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Before
you go on, though, to interject, I will say, because I was thinking about saying that one, but I just started it. But, I just wanted to say that I agree. I'm like an hour into the game, and I'm already falling in love with like the setting and stuff. So now that you say all that about the ending, I'm like really excited because I like it so far. And if you're saying the ending is like where it really takes off, I can't wait.
Yeah, no, in the middle of the game, it's like the way they pace the story. I think they pace the story very, very well.
Oh, that's
I've
awesome
heard
to
people
know.
like go back and forth on saying that it's a little too slow or too fast for them, which I don't understand. I was like, then it should be just right for somebody like me who's kind of in between that. So yes, very great. The other one that I want to mention, I'm already doing a playthrough of it, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it for like 5 seconds. Is like Ys 8. Very great game. If you want to hear my thoughts, go watch the playthrough. Cool. That's another one. And the other one that I was
Good
gonna
advertisement.
Talk about, yeah. The other one that I was going to say is like my third one that I'm going to kind of bundle two of them into one is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country. Those games, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think I put like 85 hours into. It's ridiculous. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna was basically the prequel to it. And I do understand what Mike says. I think we talked about it before. Prequels are always kind of an iffy thing to do and very hard to get right. I think Torna the Golden Country was actually done almost perfectly in my mind. But
awesome.
Again, this is my preference. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2, fantastic story. It, again, heavily draws inspiration from Japanese anime, so I can understand why the style might turn people away from it. But in terms of the story, between the dynamic between Rex and Pyra, Drivers and Blades, and the story keep giving you more twists and turns, and not in the JRPG way where it's just like, okay, that was convoluted, they're just searching for something at this point. So I love Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Had so many, like, I Am Setsuna had one big impactful moment where I was like, well, shit, that one hurt like a motherfucker. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had them throughout the entire story and still kept it coming in Torna the Golden Country as well. And as we said with Birth by Sleep, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country, I should just save my breath and just say Torna. that one had an ending. Obviously, it wasn't a good ending because otherwise Xenoblade Chronicles 2 wouldn't have been made. Just kind of had an ending. But the dynamic between Jin and Laura, just kind of combined it for Lyn. It's so damn good. I know I've been rambling about it, so I'll kind of leave it at that. I would heavily recommend Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Torna because they are a very good dynamic, cohesive piece, and I think Monolith Soft doesn't give as much credit for telling a great story that it did. It's my favorite Xenoblade Chronicles, by far.
Nice.
But yeah, so, Travis.
So basically what you're saying is I really need to get Xenoblades 2 because it's on sale right now.
It depends on if you have any other big RPGs that you're going through, because otherwise I would have to say not. If you're in any other RPGs, do not get invested in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because you will forget about the other RPGs.
I already finished my RPGs that I've been playing, which is a perfect... Okay, so, games that I have been playing. So, I didn't think I would enjoy this game because I was a very traditional Pokemon player. And then I was talking to one of my friends from school and then also Mike. They're like, yeah, it's actually super cool. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just buy it then. And ended up putting 45 hours straight into it and got every single Pokemon already. And it's just super fun grinding out, like, instead of murdering Pokemon at a time, you're just capturing a whole bunch of them, and then if you have a million of them, you can send them to Professor Oak and get candies, which will then increase whatever their like best stat is.
Right.
So, like, I know Ghastly is special attack, so you get a bunch of special attack bonuses. So you just basically make your starting party monsters because they're constantly leveling up when you're catching all of these Pokemon. I already have one shiny Pokemon. I almost had a shiny Geodude. He was over a hole, and when I went and bumped into him, I fell down the hole instead of started the battle. And I was devastated.
That's awful.
I know, but that's why it's not my favorite game. So other games I've been playing, Starlink was super fun. Though I heavily enjoy playing with the Toys Come to Life mode that I was doing, I would recommend just getting the virtual one because it comes with everything for $5 more than the starting physical copy. Mm-hmm. And it comes with literally everything. You don't have to buy the separate ships as separate DLC as you would for a physical copy to get the toy ships. Because I do have a collection of 4 ships, and now that I 100%ed that game, they're kind of just collecting dust. But the Artwing still looks pretty badass on my shelf, so I can't say I regret that purchase. But I would definitely go for the the digital copy because it's just so much more bang for your buck. But it was a super fun game. You get to customize a lot more than I thought you would. But
Right.
then at like end game stuff, you basically had to do it where like they're always heat resistant or ice resistant, so you basically had to always swap out for the other one, otherwise battles would just take forever versus melting them in a second. So
Yeah.
but it was a super fun game. There's a lot more story there. I know people were kind of complaining because as you got later in the story, Fox's participation in the story didn't really matter as much, but I can't really say that made me sad at all because in the end it was an Ubisoft game, not a Firefox game.
Right.
And it was amazing that they were...
Firefox. Sorry.
God damn it. Why do I keep doing that? Star Fox.
Star Fox,
Star
yeah.
Fox. What has school done to me?
Anyway.
So Fox, where was I? So like, I was
Fox is like impact traded.
yeah. So I thought like the fact that he was even in there was awesome, and then, let alone the separate DLC like Wolf exclusive missions, which were actually super fun. So if you have a Switch, I would recommend it over any of the other ones because you just get bonus stuff, and it's fun. Other games that I played was a lot of Mario Tennis. That seems to be the go-to game between me and my friends from around here, like CJ and Scooter. We've clocked in like 45 hours of it, and I especially like it because they keep doing a new DLC character every month, and all you have to do is participate in one of the online tournaments, and then you automatically get them whether or not you win or not. So it kind of keeps it new because, like, I just got Shy Guy by doing the doubles online, so I was doing it with Scooter. And he is now my favorite person because he's just a little dick when he's on the front line because he's so little that your partner doesn't hit you in the back, but he can still spike the ball just, like, to the side if you are not ready for it, and it's fun. We got some cheesy wins off of me being Shy Guy front line in it. So I definitely recommend that game if you have not picked it up. It gets like a little repetitive, but like I said, they keep coming out with new characters. Like I think there has been one every month since it came out in June. So it's keeping it a little fresher, and it's also adding more like of the groups that weren't well represented, like technicals and that. So I recommend that game. And then I had fun with Sushi Striker. That was a fun little weird game that all my friends make fun of me for playing. But hey, I like it. It's very anime and childish and fun. You're throwing sushi at people. And it's just a different type of puzzle game. Like you actually, some of them actually, now that I'm further in it, are actually kind of challenging. You actually have to mind what sprites you're bringing to the battle to actually counteract what their sprites are doing. So I just like that it's a new type of strategy game, and I think that concludes all of the games that I've been dabbling in, if we're not counting Smash Bros. That came out a couple days ago, because I might already have 37 hours in that game.
Maybe, just
That was
maybe.
scary.
All right,
know.
Mike. Best. Oh, sorry, Mike. Do you want to comment on some Travis?
No, I was gonna do my turn.
Yeah.
So
what was your favorite?
I have two favorites that I would call equal. So, and because my favorite game always comes down to one thing, which is kind of pathetic. What kind of game can make me like cry, or really get to me emotionally? The thing is, there weren't very many games like this. Quite honestly, one of these games might be a game I played last year. I don't remember, but I'm going to talk about it because I want to say I played it earlier this year, but I won't talk about it a lot. The second game I know I finished up this year, that's Nier, and that is Spec Ops: The Line. So I'll start with Nier. I know I talked about this in some video earlier this year, but this game really spoke to me. First of all, it has incredible music. It's a Square Enix game, and so you can expect awesome music and an awesome story. Yeah, Square Enix always does stuff like that. But the boss fights in that game were incredible. The gameplay was awesome. I love father-daughter type games, and that's exactly what this game was. It's a father trying to protect his daughter. She came down with the sickness as of, at the beginning of the game, there's no known cure for it. And he goes on this, incredible quest. And on the way, you meet some incredibly tragic characters. I'm not going to say what happens to a lot of them. There's a character named Emil who, like, I think should go down in history as, like, one of the most tragic characters in a video game ever, as far as how things turn out and, you know, hit the role he plays in the sequel as well. So I adore this game, and this game, like, absolutely broke me down on multiple different times. It's such an underdog story of overcoming, you know, your obstacles and, you know, taking down beasts that seem like they're impossible to defeat. And so it's such an incredible game, such an underrated game. Nier Automata came out, and that game was super underrated, and people loved it, you know? It's like, Nier Automata has to be one of the games that received so much credit and awards that no one knows about, you know? One guy described it as the best game that you've never played before, you know? Because most people have never played it, but it's such an incredible game. Nier is even more hidden because no one even really knows that the game has a prequel. It just kind of silently came out for Xbox and PlayStation 3, and no one's ever really given it a shot. No one's ever tried it, but it's such a fantastic game that I would say Nier and Nier Automata together are like the best game that no one's ever really played before, which is crazy to me. And so that's why I don't really care when I played it. I want to bring it up again because if you haven't tried it and you have the game systems for it, you need to give these games a shot. I'm focusing on Nier because that one was the one that stuck with me more, but really both of them. And then the second one I want to talk about is Spec Ops: The Line. This game is a first-person shooter in the same vein as Call of Duty, but it is the first-person shooter that actually broke me down. It has one of the most emotional video game scenes, period. And I completely mean that. I've seen a lot of like sad scenes where like, oh, someone sacrifices themselves. But in terms of like the gravitational weight as far as like the impact it has, this scene has anything I've ever seen beats. I don't want to spoil it. It's a game about warfare. But the thing is, Call of Duty is kind of unrealistic, right? You're one guy that's kind of going ballistic. It doesn't feel like real war. Spec Ops: The Line feels like real war, you know? When you're getting overrun, you feel like you're getting overrun. You feel like you're not making progress. And it's painful because you see the real effects of war. You see your comrades go down. You see incredibly awful war crimes being committed, you know? You see things like torture. You hear awful things. It really gets to you because it's an emotional first-person shooter. So it has the gameplay of a Call of Duty game, but it has a really deep and emotional story, something that I never expected from a first-person shooter. You know, someone told me, because I ask around, I'm like, hey, what are some fun, emotional games I can play? And someone brought up Spec Ops: The Line, and I was like, that's first-person shooter. I don't know how emotional it can get. I was totally proven wrong. It is such a beautiful story. That again, if you like first-person shooters and stories, there is no better game out there than this one. And it's another game that's kind of underrated. I feel like a lot of people don't know much about this game or know that the game exists at all. It kind of just released. People that played it loved it, and then no one else gave it a try. So that's why, again, I really wanted to nail home that both of these games are awesome. They both have incredible stories. If you're like me and like to cry while playing video games, these two are your best bets. So those are probably the two of the favorite games that I played this year. There's one other one, but I'm not going to talk about it in this one because it's also my favorite game of 2018, so I'll save that for the next one.
Neat. I was going to say that as much as when Mike said that there's two of them that kind of branch out, I was like, oh crap, I think I missed one. So thank you, Mike, for giving me an excuse for doing it as well.
Well, there you go.
So there's two of them that I didn't realize, like, because I didn't realize that I played this game this year, but one of the games was Super Mario Odyssey, and I already talked about how much I love that game, and we did a race on our channel for it. So that one I can kind of leave at, it's a really fantastic game that never loses the fun factor. Had some DLC that came out with it too, if you want to have a little extra enjoyment out of it. I completed the damn thing. I love every second of it. The Switch that I got literally came packaged with Mario Odyssey, so I don't know what else I can say about it. It's a great game. The other one is also a game that we haven't shut up about either, and that was Celeste. Talking about emotional stories that make you cry, Celeste is perfect for a game that makes you shed so many waterworks, and thank God that it won a Game Award. It actually got the recognition that it did. It's a game that, at least in my mind, gives you an experience that so many times that you're not going to be able to get from a normal video game. You can see the love and care that it was made with, and the main thing that stuck out with me that I really want to point out for this part, because I mean I'm going to keep mine short because again we've talked about these games before, is at the Game Awards when Matt Makes Games went up and accepted the award for, I forget, it was like most maybe it was best indie game or most impactful. I don't know what it was, but it did win a award, like one of the big like center ones, not just one being listed off on the side. And they said, and the guy, and basically I think the guy's name was Matt, obviously, and he goes, if you noticed a change after playing this game, don't ever think of it as the game did this. You were able to make that change on your own. I was like, holy crap, they are still thinking of making me cry about this, and I finished playing the game like a long time ago. Like, it was like the developer is going out of his way saying you were able to do that on your own. We just gave you a vehicle to help you along your journey. I'm like, God damn it, that's way too poetic for me right now. Like, but I love the fact that it at least got even nominated for it. It's a fantastic main game, and Matt makes games. Even if you make a game that's like really good but not up to level Celeste, I don't care. I'll buy it. Like, you've gotten my loyalty already.
Oh yeah.
They can make they can make Celeste 2 as like a bullet hell shooter. I'll get it in a heartbeat, dude.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Celeste and Mario Odyssey. Those are probably my favorite games that I've played this year.
Oh no,
So, yeah.
yeah, those are incredible ones, Nick. That's a good way
Thank
to
you,
end
Mike.
it.
Fantastic ones.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Mario Odyssey got released. I'm pretty sure it got released last year, but I didn't play it till this year, really. So,
Yeah.
Travis, go.
Okay, so the game that I will focus on in mine will be a game that came out in July, being Octopath Traveler.
Nice.
I played the crap out of this game when it came out, and it has a really great story because it focuses on the 8 different travelers you have and their each individual reason on why they're joining this quest in like traveling the whole world and defeating all these bosses. But even if you aren't one who cares for a story, like my friend Robbie, he still put 60 hours into this game, and all it is a turn-based RPG. So it's just such a good game because the combat is super fun and you can really shake things up, especially when you unlock some secondary jobs. And then there's like special dungeons that you can do to have an even different job other than the original 8 jobs that each of the traveler each possess. And then depending on like who you choose as your main person, you'll always have them in your party, but then you'll always be able to cycle through the other ones up until you beat the last boss of your original guy, and then you can switch them out with anybody you want. But usually at that point, you're very connected to that person, and they'll never leave your sight because they are just so highly leveled. But it's just such a fun game, and of course, it's a Square Enix game, so the music is beautiful. I've put in a lot of time listening to the soundtrack, much as also I Am Setsuna. If I am ever struggling falling asleep, I just listen to the sweet, sweet music that game has, and it relaxes me, makes my brain stop thinking, and hit the snooze button. Square Enix is just such a good company.
Oh yeah.
I would agree.
It's their storytelling and their music selection just gets you so emotional, and I definitely appreciate them. And I'm very happy that Octopath Traveler, they got nominated for some things. I don't think they won anything, right?
I don't think they won anything.
But they were at least nominated, so they got the recognition of like, hey, this is a great game, and they also sold very well, and I hope that encourages them to keep producing some more, not necessarily exclusive games, but definitely still be producing games for the Switch, because I love to play them, and I don't really play any other console. Mm-hmm. So I would love to keep playing them. And I think that's it for my top games, because I mentioned all the other ones, but...
Yeah.
Now, if only Square Enix could figure out their management and figure out how to release a game like during a normal development cycle, that would be nice too.
They always stay on their promises.
Hey, I you know what? I know Kingdom Hearts 3 definitely shouldn't have been released this late in development. I know they had issues and whatnot, but it's the reason I love Square Enix so much that I'm going to give them crap and say figure your shit out, because we want you to do well, and yeah.
I will say I much prefer that over Sega's. We're gonna release this game months before it's ready, and then have a shitty game forever. So
I would agree with you there.
Could be
Definitely
worse.
agree with
Name
you there.
one Sega game that was not ready to be
Name one
developed.
Rush Sonic game. I dare you.
Dare you? Just try to think about it. I bet you won't even find a 3D one in there.
I mean, other than
Gosh.
Sonic Mania.
That's the only one.
Sonic Mania. What a joke of a game. Just kidding. It's one of my favorites.
I know.
But Travis, what I was going to say when you were talking about Octopath, I think that is so cool that it did get the recognition that it did. And it's also showing that those kinds of games are still relevant nowadays, even from a big AAA developer. So it kind of opened the door for, I think it opened the door for certain developers to be like, hey, Octopath, like, it's kind of 2D sprites, it's turn-based battling. You don't have to do all this fancy mumbo-jumbo and whatnot, just have a good combat system.
Yeah.
Have an engaging narrative that wants people to knows what happens next, because I do think video games are probably one of the most interactive forms of storytelling that you can go through. And yeah, that's all you really need to have a good recipe. You don't need to have the most amazing online servers to have a lot of sales. And I mean, we're probably gonna be talking about it more in the other video about like single player isn't dead. It's been proven multiple times. It's just what they try to sell to their stockholders or shareholders, saying we want to make a game that can make us more money. That's really just all it is. You can still make a solid amount making the normal games that we've loved up until this point. That's my little PSA for if any game developers actually watch this video. Don't say that we're dumb. We know what good games are. We know what bad games are.
We have played enough games to know if they're crap, aka all of my frickin' Battlefront games that I've wanted forever, and they look glorious, but I still enjoy my Xbox version because it's not stupid.
It isn't stupid. It's made with love and care, but you know.
Love and care.
Doesn't love and care. Let's just start crying for the rest of this video, just because we've had so many great games that we've played this year. I guess I will talk about it more in the other video, but it has been a good year for games. As much as I say, there's been a lot of damn good games that have been released.
No, it's been awful on my wallet. Like I was telling Nick before we started recording this, there has not been a month that I did not purchase a game since 7 months ago. I don't have a job. I have a problem.
You're almost getting a job. You're finishing up school, so it
I
makes sense.
almost have a job, yeah. So
there you go.
I can almost afford this.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good year for games. Mike, do you have anything else you want to say?
No.
What about you, Travis?
I would agree. You know, I think I'll hold my thoughts. I will say on the flip side, there was a lot of, not to be negative, there were a lot of shitty games that came out in 2018, and I can't wait to talk about them too.
I would agree.
In the next video. Because I'm going to save a special slot for that also. So,
yep, you have to accept the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But overall, it was a good year. I think it was less than 2017, but I liked the games I played, and that's what matters.
All right, so we'll see in the best game that you've played 2018. I forgot to say stuff like that. In the comment section below, please let us know if there's any games that we completely missed or if we overlooked, and we would probably enjoy those as well, because you guys seem to actually know our preferences in terms of what games that we play. But otherwise, we're going to be seeing you when we wrap up 2018 as a whole.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Bye.